Let me begin with an uncomfortable observation. Most people who watch videos like this one will never reach $100,000 in invested assets. Not because they lack intelligence, not because they earn too little, not because the market was unkind to them. They will fail because they cannot sit still. I have spent decades studying markets, studying companies, and more importantly, studying the behavior of those who participate in markets. And I can tell you with considerable confidence that the primary obstacle between an ordinary person and financial stability is not external, it is internal. The first $100,000 is not wealth. Let us be clear about that from the beginning. It will not make you rich. It will not buy you freedom in any absolute sense. But it will do something far more important. It will give you control. It will give you options you did not have before. The option to say no to a job that degrades you. The option to absorb a financial shock without panic. The option to make decisions from a position of stability rather than desperation. This is what we are actually pursuing. Not riches, not status, control. And the path to that control is neither exciting nor complicated. It requires no prediction of future events. It requires no special access to information. It requires no brilliance. What it requires is something most people are unwilling to provide. Sustained, unglamorous discipline over years, not months. If you are looking for shortcuts, I have none to offer. If you are looking for excitement, you will find more of it at a casino, and you will lose your money just as quickly. But if you are willing to hear the truth, even when that truth is unflattering, then we have work to do together. Before we discuss how to build capital, we must understand why most people fail to build it at all. I have identified 5 recurring patterns. They are not complicated. They are, in fact, painfully obvious once named, but most people refuse to see them in themselves. Asterisk, asterisk. The first pattern is lifestyle inflation. Asterisk, asterisk. When income rises, spending rises to match it. Often, spending rises faster than income. A raise becomes a nicer car. A bonus becomes a vacation. The person earns more each year, yet saves nothing more. They remain on a treadmill of their own construction. This is not a problem of income. I have known people earning modest wages who accumulated meaningful capital. I have known people earning substantial salaries who died with nothing. The difference was never what they earned. It was what they kept. Asterisk, asterisk. The second pattern is debt. Asterisk, asterisk. Not all debt is equal. A reasonable mortgage on a home you can afford is one thing. But consumer debt credit cards carried month to month, financed automobiles beyond your needs, purchases made to impress people you do not particularly like. This is financial poison. Debt is a claim against your future labor. Every dollar you owe is a dollar someone else will take from you before you ever see it. Until you stop the bleeding, you cannot begin to build. Asterisk, asterisk. The third pattern is impatience, asterisk, asterisk. This may be the most dangerous of all. Impatience convinces people that slow progress is no progress. It whispers that there must be a faster way. It leads otherwise sensible individuals to chase returns they do not understand in instruments they cannot evaluate from people who do not have their interests at heart. Impatience is expensive. I have seen more money destroyed by impatience than by any bear market. Asterisk, asterisk. The fourth pattern is speculation disguised as investing. Asterisk, asterisk. Let me make a distinction that I consider essential. An investment operation is one which, upon thorough analysis, promises safety of principal and an adequate return. Operations not meeting these requirements are speculative. This is not merely a definition. It is a standard for behavior. When you buy a stock because someone told you it would go up, you are speculating. When you buy an asset hoping to sell it quickly for a profit without understanding its underlying value, you are speculating. When you are attracted primarily by the possibility of rapid gain, you are speculating. There is nothing immoral about speculation, but you must know when you are doing it. And you must understand that speculators usually lose. Not always, not immediately, but usually. Asterisk, asterisk. The fifth pattern is the absence of process. Asterisk, asterisk. Most people have no system. They make financial decisions reactively, emotionally, inconsistently. They invest when they feel optimistic. They sell when they feel afraid. They save when it is convenient and stop when it is not. This is not a strategy. It is an accident waiting to happen. Now, let me address one more concept: risk. Most people think of risk as volatility. They believe risk means the price of something going down temporarily. This is a misunderstanding. Risk, properly understood, is the probability of permanent loss of capital. A stock that declines 30% and recovers is volatile. A stock that declines 30% because the company is fundamentally broken and never recovers is risky. Volatility is discomfort. Risk is destruction. The person who sells a sound investment during a temporary decline has converted volatility into realized loss. They have created the very outcome they feared. And they have done so because they confused feeling smart with being safe. Feeling smart is buying what everyone is talking about. Being safe is buying what is genuinely undervalued and then having the patience to wait. These are rarely the same thing. Let us discuss mathematics for a moment. Not complicated mathematics, simple arithmetic that most people overlook. When you have $1,000 invested and it grows by 10%, you have gained $100. That is meaningful, but it is not transformative. When you have $100,000 invested and it grows by 10%, you have gained $10,000. That may equal or exceed what you could save from your salary in an entire year. This is the compounding phenomenon, and it has a feature that is not immediately intuitive. The early stages are almost entirely dependent on your behavior, not your returns. Consider two individuals. The first earns an average return of 8% annually and contributes $500 per month consistently. The second earns an average return of 12% annually, but contributes inconsistently, often nothing, occasionally a large sum when they remember. Over a decade, the first person will almost certainly have accumulated more, not because their returns were superior, because their behavior was reliable. Before you reach $100,000, your contributions matter far more than your investment skill. This is a mathematical reality that no amount of cleverness can overcome. Yet I see people with $2,000 in their account spending hours analyzing stocks, searching for the perfect opportunity, trying to find the investment that will change everything. They would be better served spending those hours earning more income or reducing their expenses. Their time would produce far greater returns than any security selection. This is not what people want to hear. They want to believe that investment skill is the key, because investment skill feels intellectual and exciting. Saving feels mundane, but the numbers do not care about your feelings. There is another truth embedded here. Chasing high returns early is often the fastest route to ruin. When you have little capital, you are vulnerable. A significant loss sets you back years, not because the absolute dollars are large, but because you lose the time those dollars would have spent compounding. A 25-year-old who loses half their portfolio and gives up has not merely lost money, they have lost decades of potential growth. The first $100,000 must be built carefully, even boringly, not because boring is virtuous for its own sake, because boring is safe, and safety is what you need when you have nothing to fall back on. Once you have that foundation, you have options. You have resilience. You have, for perhaps the first time, genuine financial stability. That is what the first $100,000 does. It changes your relationship with money from desperation to deliberation. Now we arrive at the core of our discussion. How, specifically, should a person with limited capital approach investment? I have always believed there are two legitimate paths for the individual investor. I call these the defensive investor and the enterprising investor. Both can succeed, but they require different temperaments and different commitments. Asterisk, asterisk, the defensive investor, asterisk, asterisk. The defensive investor seeks freedom from effort and decision making. This is not laziness. It is a recognition that most people have neither the time, the interest, nor the emotional constitution for active security analysis. For the defensive investor, the strategy is straightforward. Diversify broadly. Do not attempt to select individual securities unless you are prepared to analyze them as a business owner would analyze a business they are purchasing. Today, this means owning a portfolio that represents the overall market. What we now call index funds did not exist in my time, but the principle did. If you cannot identify superior securities, own all of them. The aggregate will provide reasonable returns over time. Keep costs low. Every dollar paid in fees is the dollar subtracted from your returns. The difference between a fund charging 2% annually and one charging 0.2% is enormous over decades. Allocate between stocks and bonds based on your situation, your age, and your temperament. I have generally suggested that stocks should never constitute less than 25% or more than 75% of a portfolio. The exact allocation matters less than maintaining some allocation and rebalancing periodically. Do not attempt to time the market. You will fail. Nearly everyone fails. The professionals fail. You will not be the exception. This is the defensive path. It is simple. It is boring. It requires perhaps 1 hour of attention per year. And over a lifetime, it will produce results that exceed 90% of investors who consider themselves sophisticated. The tragedy is that most people cannot accept simplicity. They believe complexity indicates intelligence. They are wrong. Complexity usually indicates confusion. Asterisk, asterisk, the enterprising investor, asterisk, asterisk. The enterprising investor is willing to devote time and effort to security selection. This investor believes they can identify opportunities the market has mispriced. Let me be direct. Most people who consider themselves enterprising investors are merely active speculators. They trade frequently, they follow tips, they react to news. This is not enterprise. It is gambling with additional steps. True enterprising investment requires, first, genuine analysis of business value, not price trends, not momentum, not what others are doing, value. What is this business worth as an ongoing enterprise? What are its assets? Its earnings, its competitive position. Second, a margin of safety. This is my most important concept, and I will explain it simply. Imagine you are designing a bridge. The engineers calculate that the bridge must support 10,000 pounds. Do you build it to support exactly 10,000 pounds? Of course not. You build it to support 20,000 or 30,000 because you might be wrong, because conditions might change, because uncertainty exists. The margin of safety in investing is the same principle. If you calculate that a stock is worth $40, you do not pay $40. You pay 25 or 30. The difference between what you pay and what it is worth is your margin of error. If you are right, you profit handsomely. If you are partially wrong, you may still do reasonably well. Only if you are catastrophically wrong do you lose. This is how you protect yourself against the limitations of your own analysis. Third, patience. The enterprising investor may go months or years without finding a suitable opportunity. They must be willing to hold cash. They must not force investments because they feel pressure to act. Doing nothing is often the correct decision. Now, let me be explicitly clear about what the enterprising investor must avoid. Asterisk, asterisk, avoid hot tips. Asterisk, asterisk. When someone tells you about an exciting opportunity, ask yourself, why do they know this and the market does not? The answer is almost always that they do not know anything. They are guessing, or worse, they are selling. Asterisk, asterisk, avoid leverage. Asterisk, asterisk, borrowing money to invest amplifies both gains and losses. For someone building their first $100,000, it amplifies primarily losses because mistakes are inevitable and borrowed money makes mistakes fatal. Asterisk, asterisk, avoid market timing. Asterisk, asterisk, you cannot consistently predict when markets will rise and fall. No one can. Those who claim otherwise are either deluded or dishonest. Your advantage is not timing. Your advantage is valuation and patience. Asterisk, asterisk, avoid narratives without numbers. Asterisk, asterisk, the most dangerous phrase in investing is, this time is different. Stories are compelling, but stories without underlying value are entertainment, not analysis. Let me introduce a metaphor that I have found useful. Imagine that you have a business partner named Mr. Market. Every day, Mr. Market appears at your door and offers to buy your shares or sell you additional shares at a particular price. Here is the crucial insight. Mr. Market is emotionally unstable. Some days he is euphoric, and his prices are absurdly high. Other days he is depressed, and his prices are foolishly low. He does not care whether you trade with him or not. He will return tomorrow with a new price. Your job is not to follow Mr. Market's moods. Your job is to exploit them. When Mr. Market is despondent and offers you something for far less than it is worth, you buy. When Mr. Market is manic and offers you absurd prices for something you own, you sell. And when his prices are neither attractive nor absurd, you do nothing. Most investors do the opposite. They buy when Mr. Market is excited because excitement is contagious. They sell when Mr. Market is afraid because fear is also contagious. This is precisely backwards. Mr. Market is there to serve you, not to guide you. The moment you forget this, you become a speculator. We live now in an age of unprecedented financial noise. Social media has given everyone a megaphone. Those who shout loudest gain the most attention, regardless of whether they have anything valuable to say. Young people see influencers displaying apparent wealth and assume that wealth was created through some clever strategy they can replicate. Usually, it was not. Usually, the wealth is exaggerated or borrowed or obtained through selling advice to people seeking wealth. The economics of influence often require the appearance of success rather than its reality. Meme stocks rise hundreds of percent on collective enthusiasm, then collapse, leaving latecomers devastated. Cryptocurrencies promise revolution and mostly deliver volatility. Every few months brings a new guaranteed path to riches that, upon examination, is simply speculation, wearing fashionable clothes. I want to be clear. I am not dismissing these phenomena because they are new. Novelty is not the problem. The problem is that they attract precisely the behavior that destroys wealth, impatience, greed, suspension of analysis, herd following. The fundamentals of sound investment have not changed because technology has changed. Human nature has not changed. The desire for quick riches has not changed. The tendency to confuse luck with skill has not changed. What has changed is the speed at which bad ideas can spread and the number of people who can be harmed simultaneously. So how does a sensible person navigate this environment? You build a behavioral system, not a prediction system, not a trading system, a behavioral system. Asterisk, asterisk, pay yourself first. Asterisk, asterisk. Before any other expense, before any discretionary spending, move money into savings and investments. This is non-negotiable. It happens automatically. It is not a decision you make monthly. It is a decision you make once. Asterisk, asterisk. Automate everything possible. Asterisk, asterisk. The less your financial plan depends on willpower, the better. Willpower is finite and unreliable. Systems are consistent. Set up automatic contributions and then forget they exist. Asterisk, asterisk. Build an emergency buffer. Asterisk, asterisk. Before you invest significantly, accumulate 3 to 6 months of expenses in cash. This is not an investment. This is insurance. Without this buffer, you will inevitably be forced to sell investments at the worst possible time because you need cash urgently. Asterisk, asterisk. Avoid consumer traps. Asterisk, asterisk. The new phone every year. The leased luxury car. The subscription you forgot you had. The dinner that could have been cooked at home. These are not moral failings, but they are choices, and they have consequences. You cannot save what you have already spent. Asterisk, asterisk. Invest consistently with rules. Asterisk, asterisk. Whether you choose the defensive path or the enterprising path, have rules and follow them. The specific rules matter less than having rules at all. When you have a system, you do not need to decide each month whether to invest. The system decides. When markets fall, the system continues. When markets rise, the system continues. When you feel afraid, the system continues. This removes emotion from the process, and removing emotion is perhaps 70% of successful investing. Let me now provide a concrete sequence for someone starting with nothing or nearly nothing. Asterisk, asterisk. Step 1, stop the bleeding. Asterisk, asterisk. Before you invest a single dollar, you must stop losing dollars. This means examining your spending with complete honesty. Not comfortable honesty, complete honesty. Where does your money actually go? Not where you think it goes. Where does it actually go? Most people, when they perform this analysis seriously, discover significant waste, not waste by some abstract moral standard, waste by their own stated values. Money leaving their accounts for things that provide little satisfaction, little utility, no lasting benefit. If you carry high interest debt, paying it off is your first investment. The guaranteed return of eliminating 10 or 20% annual interest exceeds almost any investment return you might achieve. Debt reduction is not glamorous. It does not feel like progress, but it is progress. Every dollar of debt eliminated is a dollar freed for building rather than servicing. Asterisk, asterisk. Step 2, establish your emergency buffer, asterisk, asterisk. Once debt is controlled, accumulate your buffer. This is not optional. This is foundational. Without an emergency fund, you are one unexpected expense away from crisis. A car repair, a medical bill, a job loss. Any of these will destroy your investment plans if you have no cushion. 3 months of expenses is the minimum. 6 months is better. Keep this in something safe and accessible. It will earn minimal interest. That is acceptable. Its purpose is not returns. Its purpose is survival. Asterisk, asterisk. Step 3, establish automatic contribution. Asterisk, asterisk. Once your buffer exists, begin investing systematically. The amount matters less initially than the consistency. If you can invest $500 monthly, do so. If you can invest $100, do so. The habit of investing is more important than the amount at this stage. Make these contributions automatic. On the day you are paid, before you see the money, it moves into your investment account. You spend what remains, not what you started with. Asterisk, asterisk. Step 4, implement the defensive investment framework. Asterisk, asterisk. For most people at this stage, the defensive approach is correct, not because you lack intelligence, because you lack capital sufficient to make mistakes safely. A broadly diversified, low-cost portfolio. Stocks and bonds in some proportion appropriate to your age and temperament, contribute consistently, rebalance annually. That is the entire strategy. I know this feels too simple. I know you want more. But the desire for more, for complexity, for excitement, is precisely what destroys most portfolios. Boredom is your friend. Excitement is your enemy. If your investment life is thrilling, you are doing it wrong. Asterisk, asterisk. Step 5. Consider the enterprising path only if qualified. Asterisk, asterisk. Once you have accumulated meaningful capital, perhaps your first $50,000 or $100,000, you might consider whether you are suited for more active investment. But be honest with yourself. This requires substantial time commitment. This requires genuine interest in analyzing businesses, not just owning stocks. This requires emotional discipline that most people do not possess. If you cannot answer yes to all of these requirements, remain a defensive investor. There is no shame in this. The defensive investor who maintains discipline will outperform most active investors anyway. Now, let me address timeline realistically. Reaching $100,000 from zero on an average income takes time. It might take 7 years. It might take 12 years. The variables are your income, your savings rate, and market conditions. This is not what you want to hear. You want a faster number. But I will not provide false comfort. The advantage is that each year becomes easier than the last. Your first $10,000 might take 2 years. Your second $10,000 might take 18 months. By the time you approach 100,000, compounding begins contributing meaningfully, and the timeline accelerates. But only if you persist. Only if you continue when motivation disappears. And motivation will disappear. I can promise you this. There will be months when saving feels pointless. There will be years when markets decline and your portfolio seems to go nowhere. There will be moments when everyone around you appears to be getting rich on some opportunity you missed. In these moments, you must have systems, not willpower. The system continues when motivation does not. I have no grand promises to offer you. I cannot guarantee you will reach $100,000. I cannot guarantee the market will cooperate with your timeline. I cannot guarantee that discipline will feel worth it in the difficult moments. What I can tell you is this. The principles I have described work. Not always, not perfectly, not quickly, but they work over time for those who follow them. Discipline compounds just as capital compounds. Each month you maintain your system, you become more likely to continue. Each year you avoid catastrophic mistakes, your foundation grows stronger. Each time you resist the temptation to chase excitement, you prove to yourself that you are capable of restraint. I speak now to those who feel they have started too late. Perhaps you are 45 and have saved nothing. Perhaps you are 55 and see retirement approaching with inadequate preparation. Perhaps you feel that time has passed and opportunity has closed. It has not. Late is not fatal. Undisciplined is fatal. A person who begins at 50 with consistent discipline will outperform a person who began at 25 with sporadic effort. The math may not work out to the same total, but the outcome will be respectable. And respectable, when the alternative is catastrophic, is victory. You cannot recover the years you did not save, but you can stop losing additional years. You can begin now, not tomorrow, not when circumstances improve. Now, the path is simple, though not easy. Save more than you spend. Avoid debt that burdens. Invest consistently in quality. Maintain margin of safety. Ignore noise. Resist excitement. Endure boredom. These are not complicated instructions. A child could understand them. The difficulty is not intellectual, it is psychological. The investor's greatest enemy is not the market, it is themselves. Their impatience, their ego, their fear, their greed, these create far more damage than any external force. Mastering yourself is the true work. The investments are secondary. I will leave you with one principle that has guided my thinking for decades. The margin of safety is not merely a concept for analyzing stocks. It is a philosophy for life. Build buffers everywhere. Leave room for error. Assume you will be wrong about something. Prepare for difficulty. Those who live near the edge of their means, who chase maximum returns, who assume good fortune will continue, they are vulnerable. Any small disruption becomes crisis. Those who build margin into their lives, who save more than necessary, who avoid unnecessary risk, who prepare for adversity, they are resilient. They endure what destroys others. The first $100,000 built slowly and safely is the beginning of that resilience. It is not wealth, but it is something more important. It is the foundation upon which everything else can be built. Begin now. Be patient. Stay disciplined. The path is brutally simple. The execution is brutally difficult, but you are capable of both.